marriage itself is not hard. Marriage has hard times, and there will probably be something hard that you will need to get through.
Hey, I'm Eden.
And I'm Michael.
And we are
Majorly Married. What are we talking about?
Today we are talking about why people say marriage is hard. I feel like that tends to be this this trope that you hear a lot of times, like marriage is a lot of hard work. Marriage will really test you. Marriage will really refine you. And we're just kind of going to talk about, like, is that true? Why is that true? Or why is that not true? We genuinely haven't talked about this together, so we're gonna...
No, I'd say the extent of our conversation was do you have to work on your marriage every day?
Yeah, we did that a couple episodes ago.
Yeah. But no, I'm ready to jump right in.
Okay.
All right, quick answer. Is marriage hard?
Yes.
I agree. All right, we're done. Sounds like...
See you next week.
Why?
No, I think the type of hard is what's different depending on the individual and the couple or the circumstances. I truly believe there is a different type of hard if you get married at 18 years old, and it's different from if you get married at 40 years old. Like, those are unique situations with everything in life can be hard, but marriage is about merging two lives together, and I think that's, like, right off the bat, the easiest way to say, yeah, marriage is hard. It's no longer about you.
I agree. Marriage is difficult. I think a lot of times there's just difficult aspects and there's difficult times. I don't think marriage in general is hard. I think...
like, overwhelmingly hard, like, you should avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, it's not, the hardest thing you're ever going to do. I think it can be. It's through seasons, through time.
And I do think if you marry the wrong person, your marriage will be exceptionally hard.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
So it's kind of rough to, like, right now be like, if your marriage feels exceptionally hard, I don't know.
No, I think...
that's not what I'm saying.
I think that is hard seasons. So where does marriage being hard come from? I think... I'll use myself as an example.
Yeah.
I didn't get married until I was 30.
You were 30, weren't you?
Yes. Well, I would say I didn't get married until I was 32. Almost 32.
Wait.
I was
Are
31.
you saying 30 was when we started dating?
Yeah.
Okay.
30, I was right about 30 when we started dating.
Yeah.
And I was established in life. I was into my career. I had a house. I was able to be alone. I was kind of settled in my personality.
Yeah, you had gotten the house, the dog, the adult couch, like, you were ready, you weren't ready to be, like, a single dude forever, but you had also built a very comfortable life for you.
Yes. I think my life would be totally different if I dated and got married at 18, 19 years old. I was very set in my ways. And so for me, the difficulty was that transition from single bachelor life of that aspect that I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. If I want to stay up till 2 a.m. just, like, blasting music and playing video games, okay, so what? I do that.
Yeah.
But when you're married, and now when I have a kid, it's like, can I do that? Maybe. But can I do that every night for 3 months in a row? No, absolutely not. Or else, I'm going to be divorced. You are going to leave me.
We might be in counseling.
I'm just saying, like, I don't have free will at all times to do whatever, whenever. You are now a consideration of my life. That is a negative, and that's hard, but that's a small thing compared to the joy and happiness that I have from being part of a family. It's a thing that I'm willing to deal with for all of the benefits of being in a relationship. Does that make marriage hard? No, I think that aspect is hard, but I think the joy of being in marriage makes up for that hard thing. So at times though, I may feel like, wow, I haven't gotten to stay up till 3 a.m. blasting music and playing video games for 5 years. I want to do that.
Let's be fair. Sometimes we stay up till 3
No,
a.m. blasting music and playing video games.
100%. I'm saying more in general. Those things that I used to do and the feelings that I used to have, that ability to be alone and make my own choice and not consider somebody else. I think everybody needs those at times. And so, yes, I think if I haven't had that for a long time and I want that and I feel like I can't do it, that's when maybe that piece becomes more hard. But overall, I think marriage is worth it if there's more good than hard. And,
yeah.
And it may fluctuate, and you may have a time where it feels more hard than good, and that's where, are you in a season, or is that your reality now?
I'm thinking of, okay, so there's this it's actually an old commercial from quite a few years ago. I can't even remember how long ago it was, but it's a grandpa who you see these clips of him just like working out and like doing the exact same motion over and over again while he's working out, and he's like lifting up these weights over and over. And then at the very end of the commercial,
caption's like, what is he training for?
Yeah, and then at the very end of the commercial, he lifts up his granddaughter to have her put the star on the tree at Christmas. And so I think that type of hard that he was preparing for hard, right?
Yep.
So he did the really hard things up front so that he could have the joy later.
Yeah.
And I think that is something key to marriage. If you're going to step into marriage, know that it's going to be hard at times. I really like how you clarified that. It's going to be hard at times. Mm-hmm. So what can you do now to prepare for those hard times in the future? And if you're already married and, you know, maybe starting to encounter some hard times, or you can anticipate them. I've been able to anticipate hard times in our marriage and be like, that 5 years down the road, that's coming for us.
Yeah.
And saying, okay, so now what can I do? What hard things can I do now to set me up to be able to do that really daunting hard thing better? Mm-hmm. So finances can be a very large category with that for me. I have always struggled with, it's not so much with self-control, it's just with being intentional with my spending, I guess, and thinking through all of the ramifications. I don't think I worked really well with the budget. Yeah. And so marriage is, I mean, the way we've done it, we also have like joint accounts and whatever. Yeah. So marriage is making choices with another person. If I am thinking about future Eden and Michael and the problems we're gonna face, like, I have to get budgeting and intentionality under control now and do that type of hard thing so that we're not struggling with how are we going to afford, you know, paying for our daughter's college or whatever, like down the road. Yeah. And the fights that could come from that and whatever. So I think that's a component of it. Another aspect that's personally harder for me is being vulnerable to somebody else's opinions, needs, wants, and then also like holding my own needs, wants, and trying to communicate that. Yeah. That is honestly harder than the finances piece to me. Logistically, finances is hard, but emotionally, being that vulnerable with another person and not being able to then be like, run away, you know? I've been vulnerable. You don't get the
ability to go, well, I'm going to go home now.
Right. Or like, I'm going to slowly back away from this relationship because I overshared. Bye. Yeah. Which is something I would do. Like, I've been vulnerable in the past, but I also will create distance when I don't like their response or when I feel like I overshared or I feel really vulnerable or embarrassed. And with you, I'm like, you're still in the bed next to me. And I wake up in the morning and you're still here. And I'm crying and you're like, what's going on? And I can't avoid it or whatever. So I think the hard is learning to let somebody in and allowing them to stay in.
Yeah.
And trusting them with my heart when I'm even afraid of my heart and I don't really want somebody else to touch it.
Yeah, that's very fair.
But while those things are challenging, I feel like marriage can sometimes get a really bad rap when it comes to that idea that it's hard work.
And I agree. I think sometimes though people probably have to take responsibility for making it hard. If I were to cheat on you, I have made our marriage probably a lot of hard work if we're going to overcome that.
I love that point about you kind of create your own hard sometimes.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about that before about self-sabotage in marriage, and sometimes some people's personalities might be more prone to self-sabotage, and maybe that's an attempt to get out of the marriage by making it hard. Sometimes it's just a mistake. But yeah, I do think you have to be mindful of your actions. If I were, like I joked about earlier, if I were to, for 3 months straight, say, sorry, Eden, you deal with our daughter, I'm staying up till 3 a.m., blasting music and playing video games every night, that is a choice that I'm making that will make our marriage harder.
Yeah.
And it may lead to either you are going to have to really overcome all of your feelings that, wow, Michael's like abandoning me and not paying attention and not helping our daughter. And that's going to be a lot of hard work for you to overcome that. Or I'm going to have to do a lot of hard work to, have that introspection of why do I feel like I need that, and go to counseling, or to recover the damage that I've done. I'm probably going to have to put in some work. And if I don't, then something's wrong with that marriage, probably.
Yeah. Since we just saw Wicked last week or whatever, I was thinking of the line, are people born wicked, or is wickedness thrust upon them? And I'm thinking about it with, is marriage by nature hard, or is that difficulty put on them, whether by their own actions or just circumstances?
I think a question that goes along with that is, can people fight their personality? Because I think partially people are who they are. If I am the type of person that's like sarcastic. If you are not the person to handle sarcasm as much as I deal it, there's going to be, tension, and there's going to be work. And at sometimes I am too sarcastic, and so
you're a dick right now.
That's where I need to do some work internally. I apologize if I'm ever too sarcastic and or mean. And I tone it down. I need to tone it down sometimes. That's work that I have to do for my marriage. If I wasn't in a marriage, I'll be a dick to everybody. Just kidding.
You would not be. You're actually a really good guy.
No,
You're just sarcastic.
I'll be sarcastic, and it may go unchecked. I don't have somebody to check it.
Yeah.
But I also don't have to put in the work because I don't have anybody to whatever. Yeah.
I think I can make marriage hard by looking for the hard. Mm-hmm. So I am looking for all of the possible problems because I said it as a strength, but I want to proactively get in front of the conflict or the fear that I have, and so I will bring it up before it's even an issue, therefore making it an issue. And I'll do that in my own head. That's my own anxiety spiral that can happen. But because we're married, my anxiety spiral comes out on you 90% of the time. And now you're spiraling and I'm spiraling.
Yay.
And our marriage, I won't say it's spiraling, but it's a difficult time And then we have to deal with the fact that we're different people with different personalities, and we're going to distance. And then my whole objective of trying to deal with this thing in the future has created a rift that never needed to happen. Like, that's the example of the hard being thrust upon you, where I grabbed that and threw it in our marriage, and I could have left it alone and said, I trust our marriage enough, I trust our relationships enough that when we get there, we'll be able to handle it. That's not turning a blind eye to the things you can do to prepare to get there, but I don't need to freak out about hard things in the future and make them hard now.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's completely fair.
Okay, so what about where people say marriage, like the hard aspects of marriage really refine you and make you better? Like iron sharpens iron type of thing, or like you're going through this trial by fire, like those sorts of ideas.
Do I believe that that's true? I think there's some truth to it. I think it can also lead to some toxic problems. What I mean by that is, ultimately, in a lot of these examples, I've mentioned maybe I need to do work on myself, or we will need to work on our marriage. I think those are things that are for the better. I think that is us honing our marriage and like sharpening our skills, if you will, and making our marriage stronger through difficult work. I am being a better husband if I'm less sarcastic at times. Or if I take your personality and I take your emotions into account when I'm being sarcastic. Knowing when, hey, Eden's not really feeling emotionally well today, maybe I am not that sarcastic. I think that makes me a better person. Where I think it can go wrong is if I turn into the person. I think the example actually of if I were to stay up till 3 a.m. every night and you're like, I need to put in the work to, overcome this hard time. Are you becoming a better person, or are you self-sacrificing to the point of stripping your own personality and actually hurting yourself? I'm doing no work in that scenario, and you're now having to do a ton of work. Is iron sharpening iron, or am I just kind of beating you with a hammer?
Yeah. This is a little bit of a segue maybe, but it's what you said that really stood out to me. When you were talking about someone can end up self-sacrificing too much, right? People can turn into a martyr when they hear that marriage is hard and then they go through a hard time, using the example you gave of if you were to stay up and to play video games. And if I was to be like, this is a hard time. Why do the hard times always happen to me? Why is it that Michael gets away with them and I'm the one who's always putting in the work? This is always what happens. But marriage is hard, and this is the hard work that I go through. And it turns into this weird martyrdom, looking for times of suffering and then elevating yourself. Like, I am such a good wife that I am willing to stick through this. Like, he does not deserve me. And then you end up in this weird ego moment. You're like, I don't even need him. But then you're somehow saying marriage is worth, I think that's where, like you said, it can become toxic, where it's a hard situation and when two people respond.
And I think it's a delicate balance. I can't speak for every person's situation. Whether they are sharpening and it's a good thing, or they're hurting themselves and it's a bad thing. I think it's a personal line. I think maybe a therapist can help answer that question. Because, I don't know, maybe in that scenario, it did make you a stronger person to overcome it, and our marriage was even stronger because I was going through a really hard time, or whatever.
Right.
I don't know. But I think that's for people to determine themselves, and I think if you feel like you're going through a hard time, I think you need to ask yourself a question. Is this helping you or is this hurting you? And if it's hurting you, do you need to seek help? Go to your village.
I think at the crux of this statement that marriage is difficult is the fact that two individuals are coming together and sharing a life, sharing an identity in a sense, sharing dreams, future. It's because you're not necessarily sharing a home or whatever. People can be married in different places, or there's a lot of different contexts for marriage. But at the core, marriage is two people coming together. And it is hard to be selfless. By nature, I think we're inherently selfish people. We're self-protective.
Yeah.
And even with the best of intentions, with the best character, you will inevitably want to put yourself first. And that is the hardest part of marriage, is choosing in those moments to put your spouse first.
Or knowing when you need to put your spouse first or when you need to put yourself first.
Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, it's knowing when are you sharpening the iron or when are you getting beaten with a stick? In that scenario, in that example again, like, are you just going through a hard time for your marriage or am I taking advantage of you?
Yeah. Okay, so I wanted to talk through just some takeaways for people who, let's start with the newlywed couple, okay?
Yeah.
So they just got married, they just got back from their honeymoon, they are on cloud 9, okay? And they're getting back to their little tiny apartment where they can barely make ends meet because the economy sucks right now.
Yep.
How would you tell them to prepare for the hard time or the hard times that might be coming down the road? What can they do now while they're on their high to prepare for the lows?
Ooh, it's a hard question.
I tend to throw those out. I'm so sorry.
I mean, I don't know if I'm the best person to answer, how to prepare.
Okay, I'll reframe it. So,
I don't know. Talk? I don't know. How do you prepare for 10 years from now?
Okay, so
the only thing that I would think is know that it's going to happen.
I mean, that's fair. I think even now in our marriage, I can forget that, because I think a lot of times we have a really strong marriage, and so I can forget that we're just as susceptible to those hard times that aren't just trying circumstances. So I know we're going to go through hard times with jobs and finances or things happening to extended family or whatever, but the hard times with us, the communication breakdowns, the hurt, I can forget that those could be in our future. And so they still take me aback, I think, whenever we run into a moment of conflict or moments when I get nervous. I forget that marriage is hard and that this is the hard work and this is what I signed up for and this is what the vows were for. So I said yes to this. I said yes to this hard, and this is when I show up. Now, on the flip side, for the couple that's been going through hard for a long time, and it feels like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and marriage is just fucking hard. I think that couple needs to be reminded of why they said yes. And why those vows were said, what was said. When you said for richer or for poor, welcome to poorer,
Yeah.
right? Sickness and in health, this is sickness. You said yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you also said sickness and in health. There's also health. There's also good. There's also joy. And you can try to cultivate it potentially and also step towards that, even if you have to step through the hard to get there.
And To clarify, the type of hard you're talking about is more of hardness being thrust upon a couple from an external source, like finances are hard, or somebody loses a job, or you lose a loved one, or something. Because I don't know if it's always, I think like we were talking about before, I don't know if it's always just like, just get through it, just power through it. Remember, that's why you did your vows. That can lead to somebody self-sacrificing or becoming a martyr if they just keep reminding themselves that for 5 years straight if they're getting beaten or something.
Yeah. I mean, there are most definitely circumstances where the hard is unsafe. Unsafe is different from hard.
Yes.
Yeah. I was actually talking, I was talking about the hard that's also just internal and internal dynamics between the couple. Yes, I think I gave some of the examples in vows that were some external factors that can create hard circumstances that you have to go through. But even the couple that's fighting day in and day out or really drifting apart and they don't remember why they fell in love anymore, and you know they're just staying together because of the kids type of thing, that might be true, and that's okay if that is the case. But if you desire to fight for your marriage and fight through the hard times, I think part of it is going to be you recalling for yourself why you said yes. And I do think self-sacrificing is okay.
Yeah.
And if you're the only person fighting for your marriage, that might be what it looks like sometimes, and that's okay. You can't control whether or not the other person is still saying yes to you. You can just control your actions. And if you are ready to be done and you need to say, okay, here's my boundary, that's different from just being selfish.
I don't know if we're just in like takeaway time, but when should you loop in your partner while you're self-sacrificing? Should they know immediately? Only when you reach that breaking point? Or
I think it's fair to let someone know, hey, this has been difficult for me. I think it's not helpful to say you always, you never. That's where you are creating another hard circumstance for yourself if you come in with you never and you always. I think you hear the cliche of like, say I statements, but it is valid to say, I'm starting to feel like we're not on the same page and this is getting difficult for me and I'm trying to show up. I just don't know how to show up for you anymore, or
yeah, I'm
feeling hurt, I'm feeling alone. Sure, that might still upset your partner, but you're not like dropping bombs.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think it's hard. It's hard to go through those hard moments when you've been through that season for a long time.
Yeah.
We haven't experienced that, so I think it's difficult for us to really give good advice on that front. We've gone through extended, difficult times with outside circumstances.
Yep.
But not necessarily relational conflict and relational strife. Like those outside circumstances have maybe put pressure on our marriage.
Sure.
But
yeah, I think it's caused a little of that when one person responds to that external factor different than others. Like, you know, losing a job, it automatically affects finances, and it may affect me more than it affects you, or vice versa, and that may have put more pressure on the other person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways is just that fact that be prepared. I don't even know if you truly can. You can't prepare for 10 years from now necessarily. I think there's certain things you can do, but for the most part, I think it's be prepared that at some point, most likely, you are going to have a hard time in your marriage. I think about that with us too. I mean, when we were getting married, just hearing the experiences of, you know, family members and people who have been married for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, And they've told the stories of the time that they didn't know if their marriage was going to work, and they were a second away from getting divorced, and now they're still happily married, 15 years after that incident or whatever. The frequency that came up, the amount of 20 plus year couples who said that they had those times, I would be lying if I said it didn't scare me. And so I don't know when, I don't know how, maybe it'll never happen, I don't know.
It's
but
not every couple.
It's not every couple. It's not guaranteed no matter what everybody's going to be on the brink of divorce. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying everybody, at least everybody has a hard time in their marriage. And the severity usually was pretty high of that time. So, I'm preparing. I don't know what it is, when it'll happen, if it'll happen, but I'm prepared for when it does because I know you, I know me, I know our marriage, I know the vows we made, I know the effort that we put in, I know the amount of sacrifice that we're both willing to endure, and I believe we're strong enough to get through whatever that thing is in the future that may or may not happen. And that's what I'm doing, is I'm preparing, and just by kind of reminding myself that every so often. That's how I prepare.
My key takeaway would be forgive, but don't necessarily blindly forget. You were talking about someone overly self-sacrificing. That's something that I'm prone to. So forgiving someone and giving them another chance and giving them the benefit of the doubt, absolutely. Choose to stand on that foundation to say, I'm going to forgive you and I'm going to love you. Unconditionally, I'm going to love you.
Yeah.
However, it's like, I'm going to love you and I need you to grow in this area.
Yeah.
I will forgive you and you need to work on this. And it's okay to learn and then go, I have forgiven them 10 times in this. They're unwilling to accept responsibility. At that point, I don't have advice for you anymore. No, I would say at that point, that's where you do need to involve a therapist, and you need to involve more people than just yourself to help you understand the best next steps, either how to better talk to your partner about those things or how to hold yourself accountable and recognize when you are maybe enabling or something like that. But I do believe forgiveness is a really important takeaway, because you can make a hard time harder by hardening your heart. That was a lot of hard.
Hey, marriage is hard.
Anything else you wanted to add to this topic?
No. I think we had a pretty good discussion on it. I think, put a bow on it, we both agree marriage itself is not hard. Marriage has hard times, and there will probably be something hard that you will need to get through.
But you're built for it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, you guys, we are cheering for you and your marriage as we are navigating our own as well.
Yeah.
And we're excited to chat with you next week.
All right. See you then. Bye.